Let me tell y'all, if you have to work during nurse practitioner school, your schedule could literally just make or break your sanity. It can either make your life harder or it could really be a saving grace for real, for real. I was one of those people who had to work during nurse practitioner school. So that meant doing school, doing clinicals, and working because people got to pay bills, so we got to keep a job. And I really am biased, I think, when I say that I had the most elite schedule. It was hard to do school and work full time and do all of that and still focus on all the things, but I really feel like my schedule really made it that much easier for me. I was literally working full time, doing school, getting my assignments done, doing my clinical days, and I still felt like I had some time to breathe. Now, of course, there's no social life with all of this, but I still had a mini social life. I was able to get out and just kind of let my hair down and breathe every so often, and I feel like my schedule really allowed for me to do this. So I'm going to be sharing with y'all my schedule and how I stacked it during nurse practitioner school so that you guys can create something similar, so that you can have some kind of balance, some breathing room, some time for your mental health, all of the things. Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Brianna. I am a nurse practitioner specializing in GI. And on this channel, we talk about nurse practitioner tips, lifestyle, fashion, and everything in between. From nurse practitioner school tips, gut health education, wellness tips, all the way to fragrances, books, growing in womanhood, faith, and life with God. If you love real conversations, please subscribe to the channel because I promise you're going to love it here. Let's grow together. Okay, so boom, let me share this elite schedule with y'all. So, when I was working as a nurse in nurse practitioner school, getting my master's, I was working in pre-op. If you know, pre-op is like really smooth sailing. I mean, sometimes we got floated to PACU, but that was like every now and again, and it wasn't always you. And so people used to say like pre-op is where nurses go to DIE, and literally what they meant by that was like once you get in pre-op, people don't leave because the schedule is so sweet and it's just really chill. Like I'm literally pre-oping patients for surgery, and once they go to surgery, that's it. So I was working pre-op, and they had a 9 to 9 schedule that I had applied for. Now, I didn't really know how this would benefit me when I applied for it, but I'm so glad that I did. Working 9 to 9 really gave me like, I'm not getting up at the crack of dawn because you either work 9 to 9 in pre-op or 6 to 6. I don't think there was any 7 to 7. So if you're working 6 to 6, that means you at least got to get up at 4:30, maybe 5, depending on how close you live. And then get in there at 6 o'clock, and your first patient is literally rolling in the bay. Like they're not playing, they're trying to get this stuff started. So 9 to 9 was really like the sweet spot. Because the morning rush was already done when I got in. I probably was either taking over for somebody or opening up my own bay. So it was very like easy going, slow, no rush, none of that stuff. So typically what I would do is really stack my schedule. How I stack my schedule, you ask? Don't worry, I'm about to share with you. So this is what I would do. Of course, pre-op, you don't work weekends, or any surgical, whatever, you don't work weekends. So it was either Monday through Friday. But again, we are working, literally working 12-hour shifts. So we only had to work 3 days a week, right? I would literally stack my schedule and work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I would have off Thursday and Friday, and of course the weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday. Now, of course, you can't do any clinical on Saturday and Sunday unless the office is open and they allow you to do that. But then you have the weekend to decompress, do homework, catch up, just have some time to yourself, and maybe do some social things, right? So on Thursday and Friday, I would do back-to-back clinical days. Let me get my hours in. And of course, clinical days is probably like 8 to 5 or something like that, which again is kind of measured up with my schedule because I was already working 9 to 9. So the fact that I'm leaving clinical at 5, getting home by 5:30, 6 o'clock, like boom, still got time to decompress, eat dinner. If I had like a quiz to do or something like that, all of that got done, right? Following week, instead of me working Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I would stack the end of the schedule. So we did have weekends where I think we had a weekend obligation, like 2 shifts a month or 2 shifts every 6 weeks or something like that. So what I would do is I would work Thursday, Friday, and that Saturday. So then if I didn't want to do like stack and do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of clinical day, I could literally take the Monday off, do Tuesday, Wednesday clinical, and then work Thursday, Friday, Saturday if I wanted to. Or if I just want to get the clinical hours out of the way, I could do clinical on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then start my work week Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And it would get a little eerie right there because I work Saturday, you get off, you got the Sunday. If you go back to Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday working, then you only got one day to decompress. But on the bright side of that, you might have 6 days off. You might have 4 days. It just depends. So that's kind of how I stack my schedule. And it really, really worked for me, especially on the days where I had clinicals where I had to commute and travel. My peds clinical was in Baltimore, and I had to commute with traffic about 50-ish minutes or so sometimes. So it was good to be able to decompress, get sleep, and then make those commute, an hour one way, an hour another way, and still feel like I was not drowning in schoolwork and work and adult things. And I really just feel like that was the elite schedule to do. It was also really nice to work 9 to 9 because surgeries are not going on all day long. And so pre-op is pretty chill after about maybe 6:30. So once all the rest of the nurses left, everybody's leaving at 6:30. I got an extra like 3 hours to be by myself on the unit by myself. So what I was doing for the 3 hours for my job description was anything that came in that was after hours. So if there was an emergency surgery that was after hours that needed to be prepped for surgery, I was responsible for that. I would say some nights we got none. And if it happened after a certain time and I was about to leave, then PACU was the one who had to pre-op. So there were a lot of times that maybe I got like one patient or two patients to prep or something, but most of the time I was able to, sit down, stay alert, but also work on homework, whether that was studying, whether that was reading, writing a paper, or just trying to get organized for what my week looked like, writing down in my planner, seeing how many more clinical hours I needed, if I needed to send emails to certain clinical places. Like I was literally able to do a lot. I know a lot of people are like, if I work, I probably have work PRN, and that's also cool. Like I think working PRN for my non-clinical people means as needed. Like you don't have a big commitment to work. I think you might have to work a couple of shifts a month or something, and sometimes depending on where you were at, you also had like a weekend requirement, which is cool, right? But for me, already having weekends off sometimes and just using those weekend requirement shifts to my advantage was it would really worked in my favor. So I think if you can do it that way and stack your schedule, or I know a lot of nurses who are in school who only work the weekends. Again, I feel like that's elite, even though you give up your weekends, but it's just for a short time, a short sacrifice. But if you're only working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you got the whole week to do maybe 2 clinical days, decompress and all of that, we good to go. So it's however you like it, but I'm just trying to share with y'all what my elite schedule look like. And if you work in pre-op or PACU, then you know what's up. So, key takeaways about this schedule, because a lot of times when we're working and going to school, whether that's going to nursing school and working, because I did go to nursing school and work, I worked nights, and it was the most horrible experience, I feel, because I was always tired. I didn't know if I was coming or going. Sometimes I had insomnia because I was leaving work at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. and making it to class by 9. No sleep, just pushing through and sleeping when I got done with class, which sometimes was like 2 p.m. And so my work schedule in nurse practitioner school was such a big contrast, a stark contrast from when I worked during nursing school. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all because burnout is real. Overwhelm is real. Like being sleepy, almost sleep in class and doing all of that. Like when and the good thing is I did my master's online, but still, like your mental health and everything is so important when you're in nursing when you're in nursing school, nurse practitioner school, whatever it is, it's so important. And I think sometimes, we just want to push through and hustle because it's our goal, but we definitely need to take care of ourselves because, again, burnout is real, overwhelm is real, tiredness is real, and stress can literally do some things to your body that you just don't want. So I definitely just wanted to share my schedule with y'all. Just to give you some insight on maybe how you can make your schedule a little bit better to make your school experience a little less daunting. So my advice to anybody who is in nurse practitioner school or even nursing school that has to work, stack your shifts. Stack your shifts to the way it makes sense for you so that you can also build in rest. You need to sleep. Now, when I was in nurse practitioner school, nursing school, I didn't have a child. I had just met my husband at the tail end of my nurse practitioner program, but I know some people have full-on families that they're taking care of. They have full-on husbands that they taking care of. Like y'all are the real goats. And so I just want to just echo to build and rest, stack your shifts the way you can. If you can only work weekends, you work weekends. If you work PRN, then you work PRN. But stack them so that it makes sense so that you can build and rest. Create full school clinical days. So like if you can do a back-to-back clinical days to knock those hours out that week, definitely do it. If you are able to work longer hours, I know sometimes people work only 8-hour shifts and not 12, but if there's a way that you can maybe work the 12, if it works for your schedule, work it out that way that you don't have to be obligated to stay at work 5 days a week. Again, not everybody works 8-hour shifts. Most nurses work 12 hours. Some people even work 10s. So if you can work 10s and then, get some stuff knocked out, cool. But I think those are the top things. So one, stack your shifts, right? Build and rest. Create full clinical days if you can. And then if you can work longer hours to try to cut back on how your obligation and how many days you have to be at work, then you can definitely do that too. So if you're in nurse practitioner school, comment below what your schedule looks like now or what you did as an experience for your schedule to make it better for your school schedule. And if you're thinking about getting your master's or even nursing school or nurse practitioner school, comment what other tips you think would be helpful for you because I'm sharing everything that I wish somebody told me, whether that was in nursing school or nurse practitioner school. So subscribe, like, comment, and share with all of your aspiring nurse practitioner or nursing friends. And stay tuned for more. Bye.